So you're thinking about investing in property in Nutley. Stay tuned, and I'm going to go through the steps and what you need to look for to start your investment portfolio in Nutley, New Jersey. Hey everyone, I'm Matt DeFede with Realty Executives Elite Homes in Nutley, New Jersey. And in this little video, we're going to talk about investing in property. And I know it has become very popular again. And I say popular again because I remember before 2008 when everybody was investing in property and flipping properties. And it's happening again. So especially in Nutley, if you're looking for an investment property in Nutley, New Jersey, you're going to want to look for a multifamily home. I know some people do single family flips, but they're a little bit more riskier, especially for someone who hasn't flipped a property before or a single family home. If the game is to invest in property and hold it, which is what I recommend, which I did for at least 2 decades, I was buying property and I was holding on to the property. And the thing I gravitated towards and what I liked was the multifamily units, especially 3 families. Now, there's not a lot of 3-family homes in Nutley. There are 2 families, but they're at a premium right now. So what you may want to do is look around the area of Nutley, like Clifton and Belleville. They have some other options and some better investment opportunities when it comes to lower price properties. So the first thing you want to look for and looking at a property is you want to analyze what it's going to cost you each month to own that property. So let's say if your mortgage principal and interest is $3,000 a month. What you really want is cash flow. You want an offset of cash every month that is given by the building. So if you're collecting rents at $4,000 a month and your expenses are $3,000 a month, then you have cash flow of $1,000 a month. And what I always did with my extra cash flow, I put it away in a separate account to either invest in more properties, or improve the current properties to increase the values, or save it for repairs, because you're always going to have repairs, and you always have to make sure you put money aside for vacancies, or what they call vacancy rates, because there's going to be a time where a tenant is gone and you haven't replaced them, and you're going to lose several months of income. So it's always a smart idea. If you're making $1,000 cash flow, you take that $500, put it in the repair fund, and take a $500 and put it in another fund. And either that's your reinvestment fund, or that is something to do to improve the building. That's the way I always looked at it. So if you can improve the building and keep improving the building, you can increase the rents over time, and that'll also bring your profit as well. The other thing you want to think about is depreciation, because if you have a CPA that you work with, and I suggest you do if you're buying investment property, there is this thing called depreciation, which is actually phantom money. So you may get more than $1,000 per month when you're buying a multifamily property and you're making $1,000 a month. You can depreciate, which gives you back money. And the great thing about investment property is basically what it does, it lowers your tax liability also. So if you're making $100,000 a year, and let's say you have a 3-family building and your interest and everything else that you put into the building amounts to about $40,000 a year, what your accountant usually will do is they will take $40,000 off the top of your income. Now, instead of you being taxed on $100,000 a year, you're going to be taxed on $60,000 a year. It lowers your income or your liability on your taxes. That's always been the thing with multifamilies, where real estate investors are using it to offset their taxes. Now, I'm not a CPA. You may want to talk to a CPA before you get involved in buying property. The other thing that people do is single family flips. They want to buy properties where they can get them at a lower value, and they can put some money into it, and then they could repair the home and then put it back on the market, and then get a margin of money in there. So if you bought a $300,000 home and you put $50,000 into it, and you sold it for $400,000, your actual return or investment, or your actual profit from that would be $50,000. That's kind of simplifying it. Sometimes when you get into flips, which I've done 1 or 2, and what winds up happening is you run into unforeseen issues, like extra plumbing, extra electrical, extra permits, unforeseen things you did not see when you bought the property. Majority of the times you're taking this property and you're gutting it, and then you're rehabbing it and working on it. So that's what goes on with flipping single families. I like the multifamily investment where they're rentals and you have tenants in there. And now the one thing that you need to do is make sure you have a strong lease. You need to make sure you have a strong lease and the lease is spelled out for you. Okay, when the rent is due, what the late date is, pets, no pets, kids, so on and so forth. You got to follow all the rules and regulations by the state. When you're a landlord, make sure you carry the proper insurance. Make sure your tenants also carry liability insurance when they're renting those properties. But it can get a little difficult if you don't have a clear, concise lease. And then the other thing is when you're renting properties, like we do when we rent properties, we screen those tenants. Screening can only do so much. As you see during the pandemic, we had an issue with a moratorium on foreclosures and evictions, and a lot of people decided not to pay the rents. These are unforeseen things. This is why when you're making money and you have cash flow, you should take that money and put it aside for a rainy day on that property. Now, the other thing you could do is once you have one investment property humming along and you get a certain value in that property, you can refi, cash out, take that initial investment out and invest it into another property. And a lot of people call that pyramiding, where they get one property rolling along, they get it profitable, they're making money on it, they refi, cash out, market's high, they take the money out to buy another property and another property, another property. Before you know it, you have 4 or 5 buildings that are giving you X amount of dollars in cash flow each month, and you're making a good living. I know I simplified it. It's a little more complicated than that. But here in Nutley, multifamily deals are hard to come by. You really have to be digging, and you get it all different ways. You get it from realtors, you get it from sale by owners, you get it from reaching out to people, you get it from sending letters, postcards. There's a lot of different ways to get homes to invest in. The first thing you need to do is make sure you get your financing straight. If you're going to buy an investment property, like the minimum that I know of required is 30% down. So make sure you have that money put aside to do that. And if you have any questions about investing in multifamily properties, you're welcome to reach out to me, Matt DeFede from Realty Executives Elite Homes. And I hope you have a great night. Bye-bye.